Woo-bin ran all over the hotel looking for Minsu, but couldn't find her. He grew worried, wondering where she could have gone. He tried calling her, but her phone was unreachable. Without wasting any more time, he got into his car and drove off, hoping to find her. Meanwhile, Minsu was walking alone, hoping to get a cab back to school since the hotel was on the outskirts of town. She tried to stay strong, but her mind wandered to thoughts of her parents. She missed them terribly and wished she could see them. Regret settled in as she thought about how she should have listened to Sunjin and waited for him instead of going to the party. As she walked, Woo-bin's car suddenly pulled over beside her. He got out and immediately asked if she was okay. Minsu reassured him that she was fine and just wanted to go back to school. Woo-bin offered to take her, and just as they were about to leave, he received a message from Sunjin, begging him to take Minsu to the address he had sent. Sunjin promised he would come to her after dealing with matters at the hotel. Without hesitation, Woo-bin told Minsu to get into the car and drove off with her. He hated seeing her in such a state. He wanted her to return to being the cheerful girl he had met when she first walked into his art studio. Back at the hotel, Sunjin entered his room and found Kim sitting on the bed, waiting for him. Confused and irritated, he asked how she had gotten into his room. Kim walked up to him and said she wanted to surprise him. Disgusted, Sunjin ordered her to leave. Kim grabbed his hand, insisting that she wanted to spend the night with him since it was his birthday. Annoyed, Sunjin forcefully pulled his hand away and told her that what she was doing was insane. He reminded her that he would never be interested in her. Without another word, he turned towards the door, saying she could have the hotel room all to herself. Desperate, Kim reminded him that they were engaged and that now that everyone knew, he should start being nicer to her. Sunjin laughed coldly, telling her he didn't recall ever kneeling down and putting a ring on her finger. If she wanted to be with someone she was engaged to, she should go talk to his father, who had arranged the engagement behind his back without his knowledge. With that, he reached for the door. Kim, visibly upset, demanded to know where he was going. Sunjin turned to her and, without hesitation, told her he was going to see his woman. Without another word, he walked out, leaving Kim standing there in a fit of rage. Woo-bin arrived at a condo just outside town with Minsu. As they walked towards the entrance, he explained that Sunjin had asked him to bring her there. Once inside, Woo-bin looked at her and asked if she was okay. Minsu nodded and assured him she was fine. He reminded her that she could talk to him about anything without fear of judgment. Minsu smiled and thanked him, before excusing herself to take a shower and get changed. As she walked away, Woo-bin watched her, his concern growing deeper. While waiting for her in the living room, Woo-bin noticed how exhausted she looked when she finally returned. As she sat down, he handed her a bowl of noodles, apologizing that it was the only thing he could find in the kitchen. Minsu thanked him and started eating. Hoping to distract her from her troubles, Woo-bin asked if she had ever tried looking for her biological parents. Minsu, without hesitation, told him she had no desire to do that because the parents she had now were her real parents. Woo-bin smiled and told her she was a good daughter. Curious, Minsu asked how his parents had reacted to him pursuing art, knowing that most Korean parents preferred their children to become doctors or CEOs. Woo-bin chuckled and confidently replied that, as a boy, he did whatever he wanted, and nobody could tell him otherwise. Minsu jokingly suggested that he should teach Sunjin that kind of spirit. Woo-bin shook his head and told her that Sunjin wasn't that type of person. They sat there chatting for hours until it was late. Eventually, Minsu retired to bed. As she slept peacefully, Woo-bin stood by, admiring how calm she looked, hoping she wasn't dwelling too much on what had happened. He sighed and made his way downstairs, only to be met by Sunjin, who had just arrived. Sunjin immediately asked where Minsu was, and if she was okay. Woo-bin told him she was asleep. As Sunjin hurried towards the stairs to check on her, Woo-bin stopped him. warning him not to wake her. Sunjin, surprised, turned to him and firmly stated that Minsu was his woman and that he was going to see her regardless.